Sometimes I pray and I say, where do you want me to go next, God? What do I do from here? I have a skin disorder that destroys the pigmentation of the skin. It's something that I cannot help, okay? But when people make up stories that I don't want to be who I am, it hurts me.
People would laugh about him on the different shows, and they would say how he wanted to be white and all that. That's not the truth. Michael knew who he was, and he did that for a reason. So sometimes when you don't know what you're talking about, you should keep your mouth shut.
He thought maybe one more operation will get it right, and he was at a point where people were warning him it was too far. But he had doctors who enabled, who not just for money, but in order to be a doctor for Michael Jackson. And it got to the point where it was literally destroying, certainly his nose.
Sometimes when I see him, his nose looks different. But I had heard that some people start taking this plastic surgery and it become a habit. They just keep doing things.
Don't say anything to sell a paper. I mean, more white. No, it's silly. I look in the mirror and I didn't like the way I looked. I mean, you take Marilyn Monroe. I mean, even Elvis. I mean, you look at his nose and the difference. It's true. I mean, but nobody ever mentioned it.
I don't think it's really anybody's business, to be honest. They just all up in it. Let the man be. They ran my brother crazy. Really. It was too much. They just didn't leave him alone.
The floor's all wet over there, okay?
What makes it great?
Floor's all wet.
What makes it great?
What makes it great?
What will make it great?
No, it looks good. It's really good.
I don't want good.
Well, maybe if we get another person.
Come on, move up.
There's no way Michael could have been wacko or whatever. They try to call him Wacko Jacko. He didn't get as far as he did by being stupid or crazy, so they can stop that.
The overexposure and the over-journalism of Michael Jackson's career brought him to a place where he had no defense. He was being attacked from every angle, and it got to a point where it was a roller coaster that wasn't going to stop with or without him.
He was climbing the ladder to success, and they just want to bring him down.
This Wacko Jacko character was emerging. The London tabloids started that. But then when he was accused of being a pedophile, or at least accused of having sexual relations with a young boy in 1993, the whole thing just turned on him unbelievably. In the London tabloids in particular, it was all jolly good fun, and Michael likes to hang out with boys and children and go shopping with them. He's just a big child himself. He's a pervert. And he didn't really comprehend that he'd sort of set himself up for it by cooperating with them. It was overwhelming. I mean, he realized that this monster that he'd sort of helped create was eating him alive.
But I know there was some very wicked people that had come in Michael's life. And for instance, the first accusation, I think that was around 1993. And when this man, Evan Chandler, he lied. He wanted money from Michael. And Michael had mentioned that to me. And he said he was going to do something to him.
I was the legal secretary that worked for Barry Rothman. Barry Rothman was the attorney of Evan Chandler, who was the father of Jordan Chandler, the 1993 accuser, the one that first accused Michael of child molestation.
That accusation that Jordan Chandler made on my son, I was so outraged because I know my son wouldn't do anything like that.
I think one of the biggest misconceptions is, Michael and his sleepovers. Media makes it seem like, there's a revolving door of children that he's funneling. I'm like, that's so far from the truth. There's not a doubt in any of our minds that Michael had done anything inappropriate and would never do anything inappropriate to a child.
Michael Jackson had been investigated in the early 1990s by two separate grand juries, Santa Barbara County and Los Angeles County. Neither grand jury charged him with anything. And one of the grand jurors came up to me from the 1993 investigation and she said, you know, I'm a very conservative pro-law enforcement person, but something was wrong with these witnesses, something was wrong with this investigation. I couldn't put my finger on it, but it just didn't feel right.
There were things that went on the inside that I was privy to, but it was all a setup.
Michael was on tour. Later I called him, I said, you gotta come because too much is going on. He told me the same thing, Mother, it's not true, so don't worry about it, it'll go away.
I don't know if Michael ever was properly advised that the forces of evil were circling around, continually trying to find and build a case against him.
I saw the flashing news break where they had accused. I just sat back in my chair and I'll never forget, I said, oh my God, I don't believe they did this. Then I knew what everything that I had been witnessing, it all just came together at that moment. And I said, I knew in my heart, I said, I don't believe they did this. I knew he was innocent from day one.
I thought it was crazy. I just knew they didn't understand Michael. It's crazy. You know, they don't understand nothing. It's like he said before, it's reverse it. There's nothing sick there.
This is the same kid that was with my children when they were young. All he did was play with them in their room, with their dolls and their toys as a little kid.
Oh, he didn't think anything about having the kids come over. Hey, take my bed. I've done it 1,000 times.
I think that he was on that stage, and that was it till he was 49 years of age. What kind of childhood did he have? You know? So to think that he would molest a child, I wouldn't have that enter my head for a minute.
Their whole purpose, they wanted money from Michael. Michael didn't give them the money because he hadn't done anything. And the father said in a telephone conversation that he had with David Schwartz, he said, I've got a plan, I've got a plot, I've hired a devious attorney, and if I don't get what I want, I'm gonna destroy Michael. He did just what he said he was gonna do. And that's all it was. It was an extortion scheme that launched the false allegation of child molestation. But it was all about money.
At that time, Michael was high in his career. He was on the top of the world. Had lawyers like Johnny Cochran and a few others and this and that. And as we know in show business, sometimes it's easier to get rid of the problem, just make it go away, and it'll be forgotten about. So he took some bad advice.
If it's learned that millions of dollars have been paid to the boy, then I think that the public may conclude that Mr. Jackson is guilty.
The resolution of this case is in no way an admission of guilt by Michael Jackson.
The decision was made through the attorneys and the insurance company. Michael really didn't have a hand in that decision. The attorney recognized that, you know, it was the best thing so that he can move on with his life. And the insurance company, it was about liability. It was not about negligence. So they paid it based on liability.
It was the lawyers who suggested that Michael settle with this case with this person, just to get rid of it. Get your name out the media. We don't need this. This is bad for your career right now. You're hot as hell. Why are we dealing with this? We'll just get rid of it.
The settlement that they had was paid through the insurance company. Not one dime came out of Michael's pocket.
I don't think he realized the repercussions of settling it. It haunted him, and he was never the same after that.
That was the wrong thing to do, to pay them off. And Michael said he wanted to fight it.
Jordan Chandler did not seem like he would make those claims on his own, because he made it one time when the 2003 trial came around and they tried knocking on his door. We were told that he's not only admitted that Michael did nothing, but they didn't call him for the trial as a witness.
I would love to speak to him, and I would love for him to come out and tell the truth. because I don't know how he's going to live with himself and this guilt, understanding what he's done.
If you had a child and someone molested your child, would you take money? You know what you would do? Beat the heck out of that man, then call the cops and tell them what that person had done to your child and have him arrested. Anytime somebody take money for something like that, anyone should know it's not the truth. They just want money from a person. I would never take money for something like that if somebody had molested one of my children. No way.
Right before the Jordan Chandler, the scandal broke on him, his Heal the World initiative was raising millions of dollars for people. At the same time he was becoming, wacko jacko in the public eye and the figure of ridicule, there was this earnest, really good, deep, spiritual being who was trying to express himself and do what he really believed God wanted him to do.
He loved kids. I do too. It's nothing I wouldn't do for them. And you know what else that people didn't take into consideration? How were we raised? See, you don't know nothing about me. You don't know what my life was. We all slept in the same bed. You know what I mean? Because we didn't have but one or two. So we didn't think nothing about bunking up in the bed with our brothers and our sisters and our cousins and all of that. We weren't talking about gender.
We wanted to be around him. He had this energy, this aura that you just want to be around him because he makes you happy, he motivates you. He was such a beautiful person and such a light and someone that you just want to be around.
I like to say children will always hold a special place in my heart. So from Heal the World and myself, I present this present. There's more where this comes from. Thank you.
You got to know something about me before you accuse me of something.